Welcome, everyone, to another episode of The Wall Behind Beyond. I'm your host, Phillip A. Jones. Today on the show, we are talking to none other than Lucinda Cross, a formerly justice-impacted individual who has now risen to heights beyond comprehension. Her resume, which is very extensive, includes social media influencer, author, leadership trainer, international keynote speaker, business coach, founder and CEO of an organization called Activate Worldwide, which is dedicated to women's empowerment, at-risk youth, and women's reentry. She was also honored by then President Barack Obama with a Lifetime Achievement Award. Lucinda is truly a beacon of inspiration and a true catalyst for the transformation. Please welcome the phenomenal Lucinda Cross to the show. How are you today, Queen?
Oh, I am doing all right. It's really great that I'm on today because I was 28 years ago, I was walking into a federal prison and being arrested on a case. So October 11th is the day. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So this is basically an anniversary of your departure from
Yep.
your situation.
Yes.
Well, that's worthy of celebration. Definitely something to be celebrated. So I wanted to get started because time is everything in prison. But tell us where you're from and a little bit about your background, please.
Yes, I'm originally from the Bronx, so you're it's in the house. Yeah. And I moved up. I'm now in Connecticut, and just the list of three brothers. Excuse me. It was four of us, oldest of them, and was raised by a mother who was no longer here. But I just watched her push and and raise us the best she could. We were born in the projects. So my story is from the projects to prison to presidential awards. So that's the gist of it.
Amazing, awesome. I say that amazing and awesome because because of the circumstances, but because you were able to overcome that. And many of the people that I know who came through the same struggles were not able to rise above it and ended up in some terrible situations. So that is why I say that. And thank you for sharing that. In my interview with you, I definitely want to get to the bottom of some things that the listeners are probably very curious about. So when you was growing up as a youth, what struggles did you face and how did you come in contact with the so-called justice?
The main struggle was, being the only girl, and watching my mother pursue her education, working hard. My father was around, but the household was ran by my mother. She was very dominant, very the figure in the house. But the struggle is what pushed me to make some really dumb and naive decisions because I wanted to find a way to make some money. That's what it boiled down to. I was in college at the time because I was told, that's what the women in my family did. They all went to college. They all took their degrees. So I was going to college at the time, Iona College, and still seeing the struggle. The girls there weren't like the girls that were in my hood. And I felt out of place. And I said, I got to get some money. They're swiping their debit cards to eat. They're driving to school. I'm taking school buses, walking miles to get to school. At the time, they didn't have all this transportation in New Rochelle. So for me, it was the struggle that pushed me to get into the drug game. And for me, it was fast money. It was something that I felt that I can just fly on the radar. And unfortunately, that didn't work out too well. But I would say that struggle mentality and not seeing positive influences in my community, for me, it was the drug dealers, the drug dealer girlfriends, and so I wanted to help my family and also help myself.
Hey, that's it's funny and ironic you say that as I'm listening to you and I'm taking it all in. And all across the country, especially in places where there's low income, especially in places where there's single parents, places where, you even go to college and you see that kids are doing very well. And a lot of them, have cards that they can swipe and things like that. And then you realize that you're really, really struggling. And you knew before you even went, but that's why you went in the first place. That is what leads many of our young people to dealing drugs, because we feel like we got to survive. We feel like, the world is a burden for us because we are not equipped with a lot of opportunities that a lot of other people are. And I think that if they take more time to understand that part of it, instead of jumping straight to the thing is consequences for your actions, which we understand. There's consequences for our actions, but when you're hungry, or when you don't have clothing, or when you are not able to take care of yourself and your family, you don't think about any consequences.
That's right. You know what I will say is that, coming from the projects at that time, and I know things are a lot different now. There's so much division versus unity. I was brought up where we had block parties. We had the turkey giveaways. We had, outside events for the community. It was a community. So you didn't feel different than your neighbor or someone in the next building. You all was sharing, all your mothers had, all of us, our mothers, except a few that I knew. We all were going to the supermarket for food with our food stamps, with the colorful money at the time. All were, our parents were working hard, but I just didn't understand watching my mother, highly educated, working her tail off, still having, at that time, it was the food that we were getting was in black and white. It wasn't right. It was just flakes frosted, we had the meat, we had the big blocks of cheese. So leave it from that environment, and no excuse, right? But going into a college, and at this time, I didn't realize a prestigious college, it was a different setting. So you put, I'm a young girl in a different setting with the same mindset. So you put me in a place to success and to have the opportunity to thrive, but I still have the struggle and what I have to deal with when I leave this campus.
And that's crazy to me also, is because even though your mom was working hard, there was still poverty. And how is that? We think because, when you coming up in the inner city, and you see that everybody is in the same financial bracket, everybody is on the same level. A lot of times as kids, you don't pay any mind. But your parents know that they're working hard as they can, going to school and trying to have a job at the same time. But yet and still, it's still hard to pay the bills. And so that's something like I talk about often to kids when we talk about financial literacy, is that it's not just about education. It's not just about obtaining a good job, because you're going to still work from paycheck to paycheck. We got to do something about we need opportunity zones in the hood, and that's all that's going to change that. So I appreciate you sharing that. Your resume and work is very extensive, which shows you've been definitely putting in work. So what was the driving force behind your achievements?
To be honest, I wanted to show my mother that I wasn't going to be a failure. And I wanted to show the system that I'm not going to be a statistic. It was more so to prove that there's something inside of me and I'm greater than this number 393-12054 that they gave me. And I wanted to get my name. I'm not Cross. I'm Lucinda Cross. I'm not my numbers. I'm Lucinda Cross with a purpose, with a vision. God has assigned me to do some great things. Let me see how much potential can I put in doing the right thing and to prove this system wrong.
So while you were in, you made a conscious decision and a conscious choice. And you was going to overcome your situation and be something.
Absolutely. I started doing vision boards inside when I was on the camp in Bryan, Texas. And they would say, look at little Half Pint, they call me. Look at Half Pint, what you doing over there? I'm writing my vision. I'm getting out of here. It's too many dreamers in here. And I got to prove to y'all that, listen, it's between the graveyard and the prison that the real millionaires and the real success and purpose is that I got to get out of here with plan. And yeah, that it was my vision.
Yeah.
Most vision what's helped me.
Well, we always say don't nothing come to a sleeper but a dream. And I'm a very big believer in the fact that you have to, manifest. So when you talk about visions and having a board, that's real life wellness and real life mindfulness, because the more that you look at your dreams, they come to reality. But if you just sit there talking about having a dream, then that's all you're going to have is a dream. So I'm glad that you said that too, because that's very important for people to understand. Time, you can sit there in prison. You can work out. You can go there. You can go out to the yard. You can do all of that. You can sit around and talk. You can watch TV. But unless you have a plan, unless you have a real fulfilled dream and vision, you're probably not going to accomplish that. 95% of the people don't, because they don't understand how to work that tool.
So true. So true.
Tell us about your organization, Activate Worldwide. Why did you start it? How does the work you do with Activate Worldwide intersect with your personal story?
So there's two sides. Activate Worldwide is my personal brand. That's where the public speaking and the books, me being a talent, comes into play, because I used to, and still do, coach women not only on their business side, but would coach them on the personal side for success. Then there's Activate Your Life. And when Activate Your Life, that's the nonprofit that supports reentry for women and young girls who are impacted by the system. And we've created mentorship. Our big thing is entrepreneurship training and just helping them to embrace being and embracing the whole woman, not just, repairing after reentry, but embracing the whole woman and putting tools in their hands. So Activate Your Life started to come into play in 2017. I've been an entrepreneur since 2006. So two sides. There's the for-profit and a nonprofit, but I wanted to give back at the same time. And I seen there was a loophole with the programs that they were offering women. And I said, let me just find my niche and my way in and create something that's for us, by us.
That's amazing. And I can see Activate Your Life is basically a blueprint for success. You're talking about training these women personally and professionally, because they got to be prepared and they got to be equipped. That's one of the main things. If you're not prepared for what you say you want to claim, you probably won't be able to do so. You got to have that blueprint. So it's good to hear that you are doing this and inspiring these ladies and pushing them and motivating them, because we know our women is the backbone and the strength for men. You know what I'm saying? So we want to make sure that the ladies is always in a position where they can elevate.
Let's go. I like that. Come on now. I like that. Let's go. Elevation.
Absolutely. What approach do you take when you arrive at that solution for some of the problems that justice impacted people face?
Just looking at where they are and where they want to go. Who do you see yourself becoming? That's one of my main questions to them. Let's not go back into what you did, why you did it, but where do you want to go from here? And what does that look like? And helping them to see that as possible, and to see with small, simple steps. My thing is, let's create this vision for you. You Inc., you Incorporated. You're the business. You're the model. Let's create that. Let's get back into some of the things that you used to love to do. Let's get back into some of the things that you know how to do. And then working with them from there to create, and we do something called mind mapping. So it's, okay, where are you right now? And let's break these branches down into the simplest form so we can identify what you need to create, what you already have access to, what's working and what's not working. And then we go from there. And because for a long period of time, we served as a bridge. Our goal is to partner up with other organizations who's doing amazing work, especially grassroots. And say, okay, hey, we know this organization, Beautiful Heart Ministries. We know this organization, the Ladies of Hope Ministry. So, and giving them access and to an open door. So a lot of times they may not be aware of these grassroots organizations that's really creating impact. And so if there's something that we don't know how to do, we serve as the bridge to help them to get to those resources, to fill in this mind map that we created. And then we follow up. It's not as if you just leave us. We follow up, besides offering online classes, in-person workshops and trainings, and just sometimes just even showing up. A lot of the work that I do, everything now is for the gram, but a lot of work that I do, they don't see. They don't see me sitting there with the mother who's in court with her son. They don't see me, there helping someone fill out an application for housing. They don't see me, sitting in the car and doing a mock interview with someone who's getting ready to go into their job, or my team to, all right, here's the questions. Here's how you're going to answer it. Let's tighten you up. Hold on, I got a wig in my trunk. You ain't going to go in there looking like that. So, that stuff is not publicized, but that stuff is fulfilling. But I know you just asked a simple question, but I wanted to give you a layout of the work that we do and how we create it. It starts with, who do you want to become? And let's look at the steps that's going to take you there, step by step.
No, absolutely. I want you to break it down, because the listeners, they need to hear that. They're trying to figure out how to, you're a role model. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to figure out what your breadcrumbs look like and how you found your way. So the real training work is done in private. Like you said, it's not about what you see on social media. So what I've also started to think about more and even post and put out in my own work is that we got to take on characteristics of successful people. They were able to achieve something that we weren't. So therefore, we have to take on those characteristics, because it's obvious that those qualities got them where they are.
I totally agree.
And another important part that you pointed out is that we got to join forces. No man is an island. We're not going to be able to soak it up everything. We're not going to be able to solve every problem. We got to stop this independence. If we don't work with these people out here, these organizations, I'm a consultant myself. I try to come together and join forces with everybody I can, because the space is small and the work is great.
Ooh, that's good. The space is small and the work is great.
Absolutely. That's a powerful message. You know that yourself from all that you've been doing. You see that there's not a lot of people out here who have a lot of concern for those that justice impacted. They just don't. They worry about the economy. They worry about immigration. They worry about how they're going to pay their bills. So for them to take and think about somebody that went through the system and all that, that's fine and well. A lot of them probably don't have a problem with it, but that's not their number one priority. So the few people that are, they must come together.
That's right.
So what was it like to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award from President Barack Obama at the time? And was he relatable and approachable?
Oh, so this is good. And then it's like, oh, man. So I'll tell you, I got a notification, because you never know who's watching the work that you do, right? And so for me, I had this woman from D.C. Who goes to Capitol Hill, was recognizing the work that I was doing with other organizations. And she put my name in the hat. And I received a phone call, and she said, Lucinda, she wanted to hop on a call. And I said, okay. And she told me, she said, Lucinda, I nominated you for this Lifetime Achievement Award. I'm on this committee. I think it was the Christian something committee that they have there. And she said, you know what? You have been awarded. And I said, what? And so she said, so she told me about that. She said, I'll let you know what day to come down. We're going to have a big brunch. You'll get to meet the president, all of this stuff. So I said, okay, great. I leave that next month, and I leave to go to the Bahamas to go for a presentation. Ironically, I'm doing vision boards there, right? From prison to the Bahamas. So I'm doing a vision board there. And she tells me, and I'm there for 7 days. And she says, Lucinda, the brunch is this weekend. Said, oh my gosh, I'm not even going to be there. And I cried and cried, but long story short, I was able to get my award. My name was announced with him there and his wife, our forever president, they were there, and other people were there, and I could not make it down there to make it for the brunch. But when I got home, I had my award, I had my pen, and I had this letter signed by him. And I received a video with him mentioning Lucinda Cross. And I was like, oh my gosh, this would have been so dope to meet him. But that's the story. But in either case, I was just honored to receive it for the that I was doing from someone that I didn't even know was watching me.
For sure. Well, that's all that matters. The honors is what matters. You know what I'm saying? Whether you could actually be there or not. And that would have been probably dope to be there, but you was already engaged and had some things going on. But one of the things I took away from what you just said, and we all need to take it away, you never know who's watching. You don't know who's out there paying attention to the work you're doing, really seeing if you're living up to what you're talking about, really seeing if you fraudulent or if you're really about this business or this work. So that's the thing that we need to take away from this. Is so even when you think they're not watching or they're not paying attention, you still have to act as if. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's right. That's right. You never know. You never know who's watching. Never.
Well, congratulations on that award. You know,
thank you
for sure. What are some of your current projects that you got coming up?
So right now I'm working on a new book called Womanopoly, similar to the term monopoly, but Womanopoly, and just how we are owning space, our voices, owning our power, our purpose, and really how we're really stepping up in this game. That's what I'm working on. Currently, I'm knee deep in this voting rights campaign because a lot of people are not aware in certain states about your voting rights after being incarcerated. You still have the rights. You know, in several states, you can even vote while you're still incarcerated. Washington, Vermont, Maine, Washington, D.C., Vermont, Maine, they can still put in an absentee ballot. So I'm doing this voting rights campaign right now and working on this book. Those are the two main things right now that's consuming a lot of my energy and time.
For sure. Y'all heard your book is coming out, Womanopoly, by Lucinda Cross. She's talking about owning space. She's talking about power and purpose. So make sure y'all get that when it drops. And I'll pick up on her side on that note.
Thank you.
Hey, we're back on the other side with Lucinda Cross. You know, she's laying the groundwork for how to rebuild after reentering and reintegrating into society. She's showing y'all how it's done in a major way. Anyway, welcome back, sister. I'm glad to have you on again. Powerful, powerful discussion. My next question for you is, what advice would you give to those who are still inside the system? Any encouragement?
Ooh. This is the only time, unfortunately, that you'll be able to spend 100% of your time on yourself and bettering yourself, right? Because out here, it's everything else consumes your time, your energy, your attention. You know, you're pulled in so many different directions. And, you know, what I realized when I was inside is that was the only time that I would have 100% to put all in me, to take time to read the books. I'm reading the dictionary, the thesaurus. I'm giving myself spelling bees. I'm understanding psychology of the brain. And, you know, so I really just dived into so much. So what I would say for those on the inside, prepare yourself while you're in there. You know, there was a lot of, you know, other craziness that was going on that I could have got involved in. You know, at that time, I'm young, I'm from New York. I'm like, what's going on? You know, but I put my energy into becoming better. I put my energy into, let me get around the positiveness. And, you know, I'm not getting involved in those things. Let me read some books. Let me work on writing, you know. And so spend your time becoming better, no matter how much time you have, whether it's 1 year to whatever, you know, spend that time to better yourself, because this is the one time that you'll, in life, unfortunately, that you'll be able to give yourself 110% all to you. How you create your day, how you shift your mindset, how you change your habits, how you know, I worked on my forgiveness. I worked on, you know, I was writing letters out. You know, I worked on a lot of things mentally for myself. And when I came out, I was a beast. It was just, I was so light. I was a beast where I could even just feel, it even felt different, but it was because I was filling myself up with so much light, so much knowledge, that I even began to understand people different. And instead of, you know, really taking things personal, I was able to sit back and say, wait a minute, this is not about me. This is about them, you know? And so I've grown so much at that young age that even now, you know, I'm still able to feast off of the elevation and education that I poured into myself while I was inside. So that's what I would say. Pour into yourself as much as you possibly can, to become great, so that you have the tools when you get out to really pour, to really thrive. Seriously.
For sure. That's 100. Knowledge is power. We're talking about focus. And I always like to say reentry begins on day one.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you come in prison, the day that you enter, that's the day you're supposed to start working on going home.
Come on.
So she told y'all what it is. Building yourself so you can be prepared for that.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. That's it. That's it right there. Re-entry starts from day one. You know what, Phillip? I'm gonna have to use that. I'm gonna give you that quote. I'm gonna say, listen, this wise man Phillip said, re-entry starts from day one. So I'm gonna give you your credit. But that right there is good. And then you look at that on all levels, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. You can use whatever, what I mean? Each one teach one. That's what they say. So I appreciate that. And a lot of good things you said, I'm going to keep in mind. Because, ain't nothing new under the sun. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get these young guys to change and to re-examine their value systems. And so everything that we learn in our journey, we got to use it.
What inspired you? Because this is great work, right? This is great work. And you mentioned two things that I just wanted to touch base. I'm going to flip the interview hat. Is that okay?
It's fine. I do this too, so I'm always up for it.
Okay.
So you asked me what inspires me
to do this work here. What inspired you to start this type of podcast or create this platform?
I think because I wanted to be the voice for the voiceless. Also, but that's the first part of it, because we didn't have enough advocates. We didn't have enough people representing our stories. We didn't have enough people speaking loud enough for the community or the society to hear us. But the most important reason is because I'm still inside. And I said, I got to take hold of my own and be proactive in my own freedom efforts. And so I needed to get my story out there. I needed to also hold myself accountable. So I was inspired by the fact that as I continue to do the work that I do, more and more people was watching me and wanting to know, how do you do that? What advice do you have for me? And so I had to live that now. I had to show up for that, So I think that was it. And like you, I came from that kind of background, and we were struggling as coming up in the inner city where it was poverty stricken. And I didn't want to go out like that because everybody else in my family, they kind of came up short. And so what I wanted to do was be somebody and leave a legacy.
That's good. And, it shocked me when I seen that you were still incarcerated. I said, this is powerful to host this platform, have your consulting going on, and you are really... You're already out. You know what I'm saying? And the way that you're moving, it's like already out and 10 steps ahead of most people who's out here now making complaints. That's what I hear. Well, I don't know how to start. I don't know what to do. And just seeing the work that you're doing is going to inspire me to talk to a lot of these youth that I have. So that's the second piece I wanted to tap into. You said talking to these young men. What do you think is the foundation for them to even come in? And I know it's several different things, but is there something? Is it mental illness? Is it anger? Is it untapped potential? What's the thing that you are running across with these young men who are coming into the system that I'm assuming you're mentoring and they're watching you?
Most of them suffer from childhood trauma, and they can't figure out how to get themselves up out of that because there's not a lot of mental health opportunities for especially people inside. But what I noticed is that they only know what they know. And until they deal with the trauma, they won't be able to overcome whatever it is that's holding them back, whether it's substance abuse issues, whether it's being in a gang, because if they don't have, that's their family, they don't really have a family structure, the parents on drugs. So in my book, from Risk to Resilience, a gang prevention manual, I'm talking to the young men about my own story and telling them, well, I understand why you joined these gangs, and I understand why you felt as though that was something you needed to do. But I'm going to tell you how you can extricate yourself from it, and what you need to do to make that happen. So I just wanted to be an example.
So are they, because what I often hear, and, I hear, for me, I have 2 young boys. One, unfortunately, he's incarcerated with a gun charge. And, the way I raised him, of course, you can imagine, stay away from the streets. He should want for nothing. Me and his father completely provided everything for him, but he felt he had something to prove from his past childhood trauma, which we learned was from bullying. Moving him from Catholic to public school changed his life and changed him and his character. But now dealing with a 14-year-old and trying to keep him, in a different, mindset, I do see a challenge. And, I know a lot of parents, even when they hear this, how do you help your young man as a woman, as a mother? Or is this something that we need to be more proactive with, surrounding them around male figures to do that, even if we feel like they listen to us? I know that's a little...
No, that's a great question. They won't listen to the lecture. I'm telling you, because my nephew is in college and he's still getting in trouble, and he plays sports very well. He's supposed to go to the pros, but he keep smoking weed and getting thrown out of school. And I got on the phone with him. I said, your father's dead from the streets. Your uncle is in the penitentiary. Your other uncle is dead from the streets. I said, what do you think the statistics say about you? He said, Uncle, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. And he hung up on me. They don't want to. They're not going to hear that lecture at all. So what you got to do is you got to encourage the good parts that they have and motivate them through the things that they're good at, the talents that they have, and make sure that they're aware of them. Tell them how good they are at this, and you're going to be so amazing at that, and relate to them. Now, but the big brother thing is the most important, because we are all driven by the examples that we had.
Yes.
So if they're around a big brother or male figure that's doing these things but still can relate to them, they want to be like him. Because we wanted to be like the dudes in the hood who was driving the big cars and had the money and the women. We wanted to be like that because that was the only celebrity figure that we saw, somebody who was doing big things, even though he led us straight to the penitentiary and to the graveyard. So they don't want the lecture. They ain't going to hear it. They're going to tune it out. What they want is you to reaffirm in them their gifts, their talents, their skills, and then put around them someone that's doing it, but it still can relate to them as a peer, not just a authority figure.
Not an authority figure. Oh, okay. This is you're dropping some good stuff here. And I would like to share this with my audience, because I deal with a lot of women as well, and mothers who are like, how do I help my son and save my son, even though these kids may not be, like in the streets or whatever, but how do I save them from negative influences when that seems more attractive to them versus them having everything, or because the moms that I'm running across, their sons are, in positions where they have the love, they have the support, they have the clothes, the sneakers. They don't have to join a gang to get it. They don't have to rob nobody to get it, but they still choose to want to prove to Kudo. And it's like, you don't understand, but what we're doing, and I'll speak for myself as well, and the mothers I talk to, is the lecture.
That's it right there. That's what I write in the book. Because I always fall back on me and what made me listen, what made me want to change. I had to change my values because my core values was whack. And it was through my education and the knowledge and the books and everything that let me know that I had some whack values. So once you change what's in your mind through education and knowledge, you start changing your values, and the stuff you used to do starts to look corny and like for wildcats. And so you just start saying that's not polished, that's not smooth. I'm not about to do that anymore. I'm not going to think like that. That's for people that don't know no better. And so you tell the young guy, that's you. You're smarter than that. You're sharper than that. Them guys need to be following behind you. You need to be getting it And I'm showing you how, because I'm doing it. So they're not just hearing their parent talking about it, because you're out there doing it. So that's another thing, you know what I'm saying? So you're showing them, but they'll come around. It takes a while.
That's good. What age did you go inside?
19. I was 19 years old. And I was probably younger than that mentally. I was probably 16 or 17 mentally when I went in. And so it took me a minute. You know, the change was gradual. And I wasn't listening. I was going back and forth to Supermax, to the hole, to, whatever, and just bumping my head. But I got tired of that. So dissatisfaction is a motivator for change. That being said, it was an amazing interview. I appreciate you for your time. But how do people follow you? How do they check out your website? How do they get involved?
So they can go to lucindacross.com. That's my website. The nonprofit site is activateyourlife.org. And on social media, it's just Lucinda Cross all across the board. So I would love to connect with them on Instagram. That's where I share a lot of highlights of what's going on. TikTok, that's the funny and entertaining side of me. And Facebook is where I just like to pour in as well when it comes to information. So Lucinda Cross all across the board.
Lucinda Cross all across the board, y'all. Make sure y'all follow her. Make sure y'all check out what she's doing, because she's doing amazing things. And definitely, we got to follow each other on social. I don't know if we already do, because I don't manage it, but definitely I want to keep up with what you're doing as well.